I can't believe it. See, I think I figured out dopamine. I figured it out through collecting cans and bottles because when I first think about doing it every day, I don't really want to do it. But after I find that first can worth 5 cents, well, like something happens, or then it kind of becomes a little bit more fun and motivating, even though it's only 5 cents. And the next one, and the next one, and all of a sudden it's like I'm running on dopamine. And I've noticed that that works right across the board. If there's something you don't want to do, but you force yourself the first time, and you get a little bit of a hit of dopamine, you're much more likely to want to do it the next day. And the proof is here I am. It's 8 a.m. and I'm actually recording a video for the second day in a row, which is what I've wanted to do. So maybe I can get into the habit of recording one every day, at least, because Lord, I have a lot to say. I decided today to talk about drugs and medication because I never talked about that, and the truth is, there's a lot going on. Well, first of all, I think I'm feeling really good today because I found a bottle of anti-psychotics called Nova Default Pro X. So it's a mood stabilizer or something like that. I've had the bottle for over a year and I never tried one because I'm not really attracted to things that are anti-depressant, anti-psychotic. I kind of get off on mania and being psychotic. So I've always been attracted to stimulants. Anyways, I took one of these pills last night before going to bed, and I feel really calm. I have to say, the reviews online and on MedHelp or Medscape, whatever those websites are, it's quite good. And I do feel calm. I do feel a lot less aggressive. And on the topic of my neighbor upstairs, I have something to say. It's a confession. I realized this morning, it's not really just one way. It's not that the neighbor's noise bothers me as much as my noise bothers me because I feel it's being projected into my neighbors on all sides. It's like I'm self-conscious about noise because things just seem so loud. I don't understand. But I remembered something. My borderline neighbor across the street, I said that again, across the hall, she gave me an air conditioner towards the end of last summer, and it makes a lot of noise. It's pretty loud. So within about a month, I'll start putting it on, and maybe that will help me deal with the audio issues. Because I'd rather not have to move. It's not going to be easy finding another place, and you know how it is. But I will do if it needs to be done. So on the topic of drugs, I'll tell you what I've tried. What they give me. They give me SSRIs in the past. Never worked. First of all, I don't know if I have borderline or I might have bipolar. I realize that I really am manic. And I've met some borderline individuals who are not manic. And I'm manic almost all the time. And I think that's why I really don't appreciate SSRIs, which made me very calm, disassociated. I didn't really like it. I tried them a few times and not for me. Got me depressed. Really made me feel like I was asleep wherever I was. They just did not work for me. And then they put me on Ritalin. And oh my God, Ritalin was amazing because I got super high. Ritalin is an analog of cocaine, and it shows. I mean, I was flying was it last summer? I'm not sure when I had them for about 3 months, and it was just too much fun. I felt like tons of energy, couldn't sit still, but was in the best mood, way too good. I mean, it took my mania and put it through the roof, and I mean, I loved it, but I was getting nothing done. I wasn't, I mean, I wouldn't have my setup the way I have now if I stayed on the Ritalin, because every day was just having a good time. socializing. Kept me happy, kept me out of trouble, that's for sure. It was only after I got off the Ritalin that I started to get into verbal altercations and became really a bastard at times. And that's because after the Ritalin, they put me on amphetamine. Oh, did they put me on amphetamine? No, that's when I decided to try amphetamines because someone had given me in the past Vyvanse, and it was really good. It helped me focus and concentrate. But I couldn't get that prescribed to me. Oh, sorry, I remember now. I did get it prescribed, and I took the whole bottle on the first night, 30 pills, or the first week. It was gone basically after I buzzed out. It was so good that my addictive personality and the fact that I hadn't felt that good in so long, I couldn't stop eating them. And so after I think 2 of those, I decided I better get off them. They weren't doing me any good. They were just getting me high once or twice a month. And later on I realized, well, what if I break bad? You know, amphetamines and methamphetamines. Well, methamphetamines work because I wanted Vyvanse. I just didn't want to have it every month, once a month, because it kind of set me up for, for one insane blowout. And I thought, well, if I can get Vyvanse when I wanted it, I wouldn't have that temptation to go crazy. So I tried methamphetamines, and it works, but it has the same problem, and that's that the first time I do it, I go crazy and I get high and I blow my brains out. But actually, I was using that as a trick, because if I didn't have money and it was cold outside and I didn't feel like going out and getting cans, and I just had to like not eat for a few days and not think and not go outside and basically just become catatonic, I would overdose on I would take a half a gram of methamphetamines, and I never smoked it and I never snorted it, because that's how people become, meth heads and brain dead. I can't imagine having the fumes of this stuff hit my brain. Knowing what goes into it, I mean, that's destructive. So I just eat it like a pill. They sell methamphetamine for ADHD. It's called Dexedrine, I believe. So it actually does work, and I can get it, or I won't say how I get it, but let's just say that I break bad, and I obtain it, and there it is, and again, if I was able to control my usage and take just 5 milligrams or 10 milligrams per day, it would be, it would really work. It has worked for me. It's really gotten me to where I am. The truth is, without the amphetamines, I wouldn't have days where I was very focused. But it wasn't when I first took them. I'd usually take them, have a crazy 3-day binge, have a 4 or 5 day recovery, I wouldn't touch it, and then I'd go look what I have left, and I'd do little bits, because at that point I didn't crave the high. My brain had gotten it, and that worked really great for me, but I can't seem to do it, because when I do blow my brains out for 3 or 4 days, it's a waste, and I come out of it broke, and it's not really worth it. So I've given that up, and that's why I've tried this anti-psychotic, and it seems like it's working pretty well, I've got to say. I feel really good. So I just wanted to record that video, and I want to check something, because I have all these notes, the things I just want to talk about, and I'm going to get around to it. But is there anything that's really important? I mean, there's so many. Here's something that I thought of the other day. Maybe we can get some feedback, because my videos are not about what I know. My videos are all about questions, because I don't know anything. I'm not going to pretend like a lot of people. They go online and they become experts. I'm no expert. But I have been thinking about this stuff for 2 years, non-stop, maybe 3 years now. I think it's what, 2.5. Well, here's a question I had. We talk about childhood wounds. People are wounded, sexual assault, incest, whatever it may be, bullying. So we always talk about that people were damaged during a time in their life. And I accept that 100%, as all of us, I believe, do. But my question, I thought one day, was like, is it a time in our life or is it a moment in our life? You know, was it the time that I was being harassed and abused and just gaslighted by my family? Or was there maybe one moment in my childhood, that moment when my father beat me in the car? And then when I went to go cry to my mother, she said it didn't happen and that my father would never hit me because he loves me. And then when I screamed it wasn't true, my mother hit me. And then I ran upstairs crying and I didn't want to come out to eat. And that was the first time I dissociated. I remember 100%. I was sitting upstairs and I realized that my mother and my father were against me. And not only were they against me, they weren't coming upstairs to console me. So I stood upstairs in my room, I think, for, well, I don't know how much time it was. It seemed like forever. And I remember going from crying, probably to get their attention, to dissociating because it wasn't working. And I think that feeling of dissociation, or that feeling that the art of dissociating, has been with me ever since. So really my question is was it all the gaslighting? Was it all the emotional and verbal abuse? Or was it just that moment when I realized that there was no one to be trusted, or that things were not as they should be? That was it, that moment when I lost trust? Or was it the aggregation of all the different sorts of assaults? And that's my question for the day. Anyways, I'm really impressed with myself, and it's not me, it's the dopamine. I knew it. I knew if I pushed myself yesterday that I would get a little bit of a buzz, and there'd be that much more of a chance that I did it this morning, because I want that hit. I feel like I'm really, really dopamine oriented, as we all are, I'm sure. I noticed that with my mother and my ex, is like, when they would, retrospect, when I realized what they were doing to me, they were teasing me and they were kind of hinting to what they were up to, but they wouldn't tell me. My mother would bring things up about homosexuality in front of my father, looking to trigger me to say something that would offend my father. And my mom, why did she do it? She did it for dopamine hits. She was used to getting that. That's like the fibber's lie, I think. I don't have that. I don't lie, and I don't really get off on it. And I did try to become a troll as an experiment. So I have been trolling on another YouTube account on politics for about 6 months, and it does give you a little bit of a buzz, but it's so small that for people to enjoy it as to get a dopamine hit out of that, I think you really have to have nothing else in your life. There is a little bit of, like, I can feel it, but it's tiny. It's really, really small. Perhaps if I had been a liar or a troll since I'd been a child, then it might be a greater hit. But it's nothing that really attracts me. I can tell right now I'm getting a big buzz. So hopefully I'll get to everyone's comments today, because it's been months since I've looked, and God knows how many people have criticized what I've said in my horrible parents video. Oh, I have one more thing to tell you, folks. I have a lot to say. I'm going to put on my glasses for this one. I'm going to bring my friend here. I have a pet spider. I found this guy in the garbage. I couldn't resist. I've really become an insect lover. So here, I'll put him here on my side. Oh, there he is. I don't have a name for him, but listen to this. I don't think I told you this. Maybe I did. I found my father's photo on the internet, a sketch of him. They were looking for someone who had tried to lure kids with candy to his car. So I knew my father had used candy to try to lure my brother and I. So I did a search. I did a search. I did multiple searches. And, I mean, I couldn't believe it, but I wasn't surprised again. And it was his car description. It was his description physically. It was the age description. And I wasn't sure. And at first I was going to call the police right away. Then I noticed it was back in 2015. And I remember that his best friend, who I wasn't supposed to know about, but I figured out about, the gay guy, he died around that time, or he got sick around 2015. And that's also when I was going through the problems. And I thought maybe my dad was just acting out. I mean, I don't think he was going to try to grab a whole bunch of kids. Maybe just wanted to get close to them to see what they looked like, you know. So, and I wasn't sure if it was him. Well, I had my friend, knows my parents very well, over at my place about a few weeks ago. And I showed him the photo, and my friend's jaw dropped. He said, "That's your dad." And I know. And he has 2 boys, and he thought I should call. But, you know, up to now, I decided I'm not going to do it. It's something I can't take back. And the man's 76 years old. So I don't think he's much of a... I mean, by now, if he was a rapist or a child killer, I think he would have been caught. I don't think he's anything that bad. Matter of fact, if I haven't said it, I don't even think he's a psychopath. I think my father's just a... Well, maybe he's a vulnerable psychopath kind of thing. He definitely told me he doesn't understand hurting other people. And he definitely killed a lot of animals in front of me with no remorse and all his... But he seems to have a huge affect. That's why I don't understand my father. I can't say he's a psychopath, because he's very affectionate and very outgoing, and he doesn't seem to be Machiavellian at all. But maybe I don't know him. What do you think there, buddy? Put him back to sleep. Alright. That's it. Great to see you guys. Hope this video didn't bore you. Hit subscribe if it did. And I'll speak to you hopefully tomorrow morning with something actually written out, so I can talk about... I want to talk about my ex. Alright, I found a picture yesterday. Did you hear that? Wow, that was my Keurig. You know what happened? In over the winter, Fox News, and I'm a left-winger, by the way. You never get me on Trump's side. But Fox News, Keurig, you know, the coffee company, had pulled their ads from Sean Hannity over something he'd said. Anyhow, and so Fox viewers or fans had encouraged each other to throw away their Keurig machines or crush them. So that day I found 2 of them outside in the garbage. One of them had 150 coffee pods completely closed up, not used. So thanks to Fox and Sean Hannity and narcissism, because isn't that narcissism to destroy, I mean, your coffee machine over a momentary reaction. I mean, I don't know what it is, you know, whatever it is. Maybe it's not narcissism, but it's just, you know, it's cutting off your nose to spite your face. Anyhow, and the funny thing is, 3 days later, Sean Hannity went on TV and pleaded with his viewers not to destroy the Keurigs. By then it was too late. I already had them. Actually, I only took in 1. I left the other one for someone else. That's it, folks. Bye.